Welcome to Bits of History. My name is Lee Pileski, historian for the Seward Iditarod Trailblazers. And this bit answers some common questions about the Iditarod Trail. Perhaps the most common question is, what does the word Iditarod mean? It is generally agreed among linguists that it comes from an Athabascan name for the Iditarod River and means a distant place. Another common question is, wasn't the Iditarod Trail created by the Nome Serum Run? The answer is no. But since this is a persistent myth, it is important to take some time to clear up the matter. The origin of the Iditarod Trail starts in 1908, when an expedition of the Alaska Road Commission left Seward on January 31st to locate a winter mail trail from Seward to Nome. The discovery of gold in the Iditarod district on Christmas Day by John Beaton and W.A. Dykeman increased traffic to that area dramatically. In 1910, the Alaska Road Commission assigned Walter Goodwin to lead a party to locate and mark a trail from Nome to Iditarod to Seward. During the winter of 1910-11, Goodwin's party located what today we know as the Iditarod Trail, although in the Iditarod district it was always known as the Seward Trail. The Nome Serum Run took place in 1925, 14 years after the establishment of the Iditarod Trail, and only a small part of the Iditarod, shown in yellow on this map, was used during the Serum Run. Where does the Iditarod start? Before you can answer that question, you have to ask, what do you mean by Iditarod? If you mean the original Iditarod Trail laid down in 1910-11, the answer is Seward. If you mean the Iditarod National Historic Trail, established by Congress in 1978, the answer again is Seward. The Mile Zero sign is at the corner of Railway and Belane, and the Seward Bike Path is the official Iditarod Historic Trail through Seward. So anyone can walk the first couple of miles of the trail as it winds along the beach. If you mean the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race, there are two answers. There's a ceremonial start in Anchorage, but the next day the real race starts in Willow. It should be pointed out that Anchorage did not exist when the trail was laid down. This last answer usually leads to another question. Why doesn't the Iditarod Sled Dog Race start in Seward? The answer is simple. There's no longer a trail between Seward and Girdwood. The Alaska Railroad and the Seward Highway overlaid most of the original trail. This leads to another question. Is any effort being made to re-establish a trail between Seward and Girdwood? The answer is yes. In 1982, the Seward Iditarod Trailblazers was organized. The main goal of the organization is to re-establish the trail between Seward and Girdwood, which would then connect with the rest of the Iditarod Trail to Nome. A good deal of work has been done, and in 2002, the Chugach National Forest joined the effort to rebuild the trail. But there are still gaps in the trail, bridges to be built, and access over Snow River and around Turnagain Arm are problems that need to be solved. What is the difference between the Iditarod Trail Committee and the Iditarod Historic Trail Alliance? The Iditarod Trail Committee organizes and runs the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race. The Iditarod Historic Trail Alliance promotes a variety of recreational activities on the Iditarod Trail, works to preserve the historic Iditarod Trail, its history and related historic sites, and provides educational information about the trail to the general public. Have any Seward mushers run the Iditarod? Seward was represented in the first Iditarod race in 1973 by Dan Seavey, on the right, a local high school teacher. He came in third. He also ran in 1974, coming in fifth. The sled he used in these two races, built by local shop teacher Bob Hill, is on display at the Seward Museum. He didn't run again until the 25th anniversary race in 1997. Dan's son Mitch has run the Iditarod many times. In 1995, he received one-time permission from the Alaska Railroad and the State Highway Department to run his dogs between Seward and Anchorage before the Iditarod race, to remind people that Seward was the original start of the Iditarod Trail. In 2001, Dan's grandson Danny was eligible to run the Iditarod. So Dan, his son Mitch, and his grandson Danny all ran the race. The first time 3 generations had done so. In 2004, Mitch Seavey became the first Seward musher to win the Iditarod Trail sled dog race. The centennial of the Iditarod Trail has been celebrated by a series of events starting in 2008. 2012 is the final year of the celebration, and the Iditarod Historic Trail Alliance is sponsoring Dan Seavey in the 2012 Iditarod Sled Dog Race as the centennial musher. He will talk about the historic trail at each town and village along the route to Nome. Other Seward mushers who have run the Iditarod are Rick Tarpey in 1992, Mark Lindstrom in 1997, and Steve Carrick in 1998, 1999, and 2001. Thank you for listening to this bit of history. The Seward Iditarod Trailblazers encourages you to learn more about the historic Iditarod Trail, to use the trail, and to get involved in the construction and maintenance of the trail between Seward and Girdwood.